Hello and welcome back. So how's it going? We're going to be working on some code today. I only have about 25 minutes and I have to actually really stop around then. So around 20 minutes from now I'm going to start winding down, but I'm going to check out some of the tests we wrote yesterday, try to write another one, and see if we can get the library working even better than it is right now. Okay, so here we go. We're in the switch code and we have this test open, and when we click this it opens. If we click out here it's going to close, it's going to auto close. If we click this button it's going to close, but if we click in the sidebar it's not going to close. So that is the first one where we have the sidebar pop out with auto close. The next one, we want to have the sidebar pop out without auto close. So that should be pretty simple. We should just be able to copy all of this code and let's rename this to like sidebar 1, and then let's call this one sidebar 2. And let's refresh the page. And we could give each page a margin around it. Yeah, why don't we do that? Okay, so we'll do margin 20px, and then the body won't need a padding anymore. Okay, cool. So that works pretty well. I think I would like a little bit more margin here, although you know what I would really like is for these to be aligned next to each other. So I'm going to put a display flex on this. Cool. Okay. Now they're next to each other. And I actually didn't know this with flex. I guess it respects both margins here. So the margin doesn't collapse. Okay, so now this should behave. Oh, it's not. Okay. So neither one is working. So what happens if I delete this? That still doesn't work. Is it the numbers? Oh, it's the numbers. I just want to make sure I'm still compiling with what that. Yep. Okay, so that's on. Okay, so it's the numbers. So I would like it to work with numbers, even though I don't envision using numbers a lot. So let's fix that issue. So we have the main switch code here. Let's put a debugger here. Yep. And we'll click that. Okay. So now we have actions to trigger, sidebar 1, stop actions none. Okay, so that looks right. And let's, I guess we can continue here. So let's go into that. Oh. I don't know why the scroll's messed up. Okay, so continue here. Target switch elements is going to be the page. Continue. Oh, I went into I went into it, so we can go. We can move through this. The switches are going to be sidebar 1, so it has the right name. If we continue, we go back out, we have this target switch. So I think we have to step into this to get the target switch. So the target switch is targeting this with sidebar 1. Let's go into the toggle. So we have the switch name is sidebar 1, the switch element is this element, and I think we're gonna turn it on. So let's go into that. So we'll continue there. For switch names, we don't have any turned on switch names. We're going to add this name, and it doesn't have a custom name. Oh, it is. I should have just checked the HTML. Jeez. Okay, sorry about that. It is working. It's in this CSS. This ass. It would be sidebar 1. Okay, and let's say attribute selectors, and let's go into, I think it's this one. Yep. So for this attribute selector represents elements with an attribute name of header whose value is a white space separated list of words, one of which is value. Represents elements with an attribute name of header whose value can be exactly value or can begin with value immediately followed by a hyphen. Preceded, suffixed, any. Okay, so I think what I want here is this. Okay, so now this one should work too. And now let's turn off the auto functionality for this one. So in order to do that, we'll put parentheses after this and say no auto. And we can try out custom name too. So I don't know, we'll just put in custom name. Or okay, so like why do we have custom name? So the reason I wanted to add custom name is because say yeah, so in this example it'd be something like sidebar, right? So for this we could say auto and we'd say sidebar. And then when these get activated, sidebar is going to be on. So then in here we can just do sidebar. Right, that's pretty cool because now we're targeting both with just one name, and it's because we're passing in this like alternate activated name to both of them without making them be treated the same. Right? So that's kind of cool. Okay, so now we've got that, and this one shouldn't auto-deactivate. So when we click on this area, it doesn't auto-deactivate. When we click on this area over here, it does auto-deactivate. So that's cool, right? It's working. I'm still not sure about the code we wrote yesterday in this, down or up here where we get back the stop actions. I'm not sure of a better way to do it though. So I'm just going to leave that in where we also search through the stop actions. Oh, but I should add a little documentation string here, and then make this F. So filter out switches that were stopped. Whose actions were stopped. That seems reasonable. Okay, so now let's add the next one. So a dialog with a backdrop with auto close. So I don't think we're going to get this all done in 10 minutes, but we can try. So we have the page. We're going to have two dialogues. So I guess we can preempt this by calling this dialog 1, and we can also say dialog there. And the first one is going to be with auto close. And we're going to have some kind of toggle button here. So let's call that dialog toggle. And the switch actions are going to be this. And it's really not going to be a toggle because once it's on, it's on. Because we're not going to be able to access this button anymore because there's going to be a backdrop in front of it. So you can see, like, in Sketch, I can't click on that element, and that's because this rectangle is in front of it. So if I move this rectangle aside, then, oh no, by accident I put the background on top of it too. So I have to move both of them aside in order to get it. But what it should be is like this. So see, I can click on it now, but if the backdrop's in front of it, I can't click on it. Okay, so yeah, so we're going to do auto, and we're also going to do backdrop, and we're going to, yeah, that's not going to have anything custom. The dialog toggle is going to turn the backdrop on, and then we're going to have a backdrop element, backdrop, and then we're going to have the dialog. And if you click inside the dialog, we don't want it to close, so we're going to stop dialog 1 from closing. And then if you close the dialog, we're going to say dialog 1. If you click the close button, we're going to say dialog 1 off. And then for the backdrop, that's the last thing we have to do. Data switch actions equals dialog 1 off. Okay, so now let's copy all of this code just to get the classes. How do I, if anyone knows in Sublime Text, like how do I select all these quotes right here? Like I just want the class names. I don't know how to do it. But what I can do is select these, like that, and then select that at the end. It's not efficient. Okay, so now, and you'll see dialog is orange there. That's because it is a built-in HTML5 element, which is probably what we should be using for this, but I've never used it before. I'll experiment with it soon because it's definitely better to use in this case the official dialog element, and it's not really going to have any downsides to it. You know, probably. I think it's probably just is styled like a regular div, so I probably should use it right now, but I'm not going to. So we have this sidebar toggle here. Let's copy these styles. We don't want it positioned absolute. We don't want it there, but we do like the width and the height. The background color is fine. It's not going to move around, but these styles are good. Okay, so let's see what this looks like. Okay, that's cool. And then let's just put let's just throw a margin on it of like, how far was it positioned? 10 px. So I'll just put 10 px margin. That moves it down. The backdrop. Okay, so this is where the position relative on the page comes in handy because we're going to do absolute. And this is one of my favorite things. When you have a relative element on top of this, you can do, you know, width 100%, height 100%, And it's just going to cover the whole thing, and you know that this is going to be exactly the same size as the element that contains it, which is really, really just kind of a cool thing to have, just like a ground zero for styling stuff. So we'll do that. And for the dialog, oh, and sorry, we need a background color on this. So let's do like 0.5 opacity black. And then for the dialog, we want CSS absolute position and absolute position center, horizontally centering, and absolute. I think it's this one. So we're doing a little. No, okay. Centering CSS strips. They have a really good article all about centering. And you can just kind of go in, okay, both horizontally and vertically. It has a fixed height and width. Huh. I thought there was a different one. So that's it. Okay, so yeah, so we'll just use this. So we have 320 by 320 as a page. So like, let's make this like, I don't know, 180 by 120. So 180 by 120. We don't need padding on that. We'll position it absolutely. And top and left will be 50%, and then the margin, okay, so this is where it comes in. So the top margin is going to be yeah, okay, so you have to add the padding to the height, which makes it 140, and then you cut it in half, which makes it 70. But I'm not using padding, so all I have to do is cut it in half. So this should be half of the height, which is 60, and then this should be just half of the width, which is 90, and with a semicolon. Let's see how that looks. Oh wait, we need a background color in order to make it appear. So we'll just make this white. Boom, we got our dialog, and now let's add our dialog close button. So again, we can use similar styles. Actually, we do want the opposite positioning on this one. So let's do that, and we'll do right 10px. Oops. Top 10px, right 10px. Okay, so that's actually completely right. Okay, there, the transition, it's not going to move around, so we don't need that. And we've got that. Awesome. What happens if I do Okay, that doesn't work. The reason that might not work is because what we need is for this to also have a dialog, and we're going to say dialog display block, and then we're also going to have a backdrop, and we're going to say backdrop display block, and now we've got to hide them by default. So display none and display none. Let's trigger. Click inside. Oh, it closed. It closed. Okay, so the reason that closed is because we want to stop. We want to stop here. The backdrop. Okay. So now we open it, we click inside. It's not going to close the backdrop. If we click the backdrop, though, it is going to close both of them. And that's because dialog auto closes and backdrop by default is going to auto close, which means you can click anywhere except on this on a stop, and it's going to close. So it closes if you click the background, and it closes if you close. Oh, so the close button didn't close the backdrop, and that's because we don't have off on the backdrop. So isn't this kind of cool? I mean, like, just like imagine. I mean, obviously we haven't created a full dialog here, but like this is just telling you exactly what it's going to do, right? Like this. I guess this is the one problem with it, but it doesn't. It's not that bad, right? I mean, so like if you had like 5 dialogs on a page, you might put these switches on the body. And the reason you would put it on the body is, like as I explained in the last video, you would want other elements to be able to know, if this dialog was open for some reason. So it's nice to just have the dialog, the like switch properties and the on properties on like the highest level element. So this is a little bit of a problem, but other than that, I mean, so you know that like these switches are being defined on the page, and they, are important in some way to the whole page. Their names. You know a little bit about their behavior. You know, this toggle is gonna trigger this dialog, and this backdrop. You can see this backdrop is going to turn off this dialog. You can see that this dialog is not going to close. When you click on it, it's not going to close this dialog or this backdrop. So it's pretty cool, right? And I want to see if there's another option here if you're getting the same behavior, right? Oh, what? Did I not refresh? Okay, there, now that works. Okay, so I want to see if there's another way of getting this behavior where I can say no auto here. Okay, so now if I refresh, I click this backdrop is not going to close unless I explicitly close it with this close button. But if I click directly on it, the backdrop's not going to close. And then I can say on the backdrop, I can say off, backdrop off. Okay, now if I click the backdrop, it's going to turn itself off. If I click inside of here, it's not going to turn off. And if I click the close button, it's going to turn off. So it's the same behavior, but now this is a tiny bit nicer because the backdrop turns itself off. And I think I can, wait, where did I remove it? What did I remove before this? I didn't remove anything. Okay, so now I think I can remove this. I think so. So that, when I click in here, yeah. So I'm not clicking on the backdrop here. So it's not going to close if I click on the backdrop. So this lets me remove, so by putting, no auto close on the backdrop, explicitly turning it off when it's clicked, and I can remove this stop from the dialog, so the dialog doesn't have, it's not tied to the backdrop. The backdrop kind of handles itself. Yeah. So that's kind of cool, right? And then we've got this little dialog box, and if this was like a full page, we could, pop something up here like, are you sure you want to do that thing? And then you click yes or no, and that, or you could like, click outside of it to escape. Yeah, okay, well that's all I have time for now. Next time, we'll do the other dialog, we'll do a drop-down menu, we'll do a more detailed section, and we'll also just like maybe add some like more general tests. But I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. I wasn't expecting it to like work so quickly, and I'm sure that there's still bugs, little things that I don't know are happening, that are happening. But yeah, that's all for now. We added another test. It looks pretty good to me, um, and I hope you enjoyed this. Yeah. Okay. See you next time.